Today on Your Money, Your Wealth podcast number 327. It's another round of YMYW retirement plan spitball analysis. John's maxing his retirement savings and he's got a pension. What else should he be doing? And how do 40 chickens figure into his plans? How should James in Arizona incorporate his pension and Social Security into his equity and fixed income portfolio mix? Should Dustin from Minneapolis be more aggressive with Roth conversions? With inflation, should Diego be using a 5% equities growth rate in his early retirement plans? Should Hawk and Lady Hawk in Scottsdale be using a spousal lifetime access trust to protect their assets from a tax time bomb? Plus, a brief overview of the Secure Act 2.0 bill passed by the House Ways and Means Committee last week. I'm producer Andy Last, and here are the hosts of Your Money, Your Wealth, Joe Anderson, CFP, and Big Al Clopine, CPA.
All right. Hello, Joe and Big Al. I'm 36, yo. I drive a 2012 Civic and have put 284,000 miles on it since I bought it new. No pets, but I have 40 chickens at one time prior to COVID. What the hell is wrong with you? 40 chickens?
He likes eggs, I guess.
John doesn't specify where he lives. He might be someplace where 40 chickens make sense.
I could say something. I will have a public pension that will replace 88% of my income at 57. No debt, home is paid off. I make $45,000 a year. I save $6,000 every year to max out my Roth IRA, which is a total of $32,000 in small cap blend and value, 50-50. I max out the family HSA every year, $7,800, with a total of $23,000, all in small cap value. I have a 457 plan with $167,000, split 19% in VIIX and 81% in VRMPX. I don't have a 403B, but I could, which means I could max the 457 at 19.5 and a 403B at 19.5, totaling $39,000. But since it's tax deferred, it only since it's tax deferred, it would only look like to take home pay as I invested $28,500. Also, I have a brokerage account of $14,000. So, okay, he makes $45,000 a year, and he's saving all this money.
Look at that, and he's got a great pension.
And he's got 40 chickens. What the hell is he doing?
I think he's got nothing to worry about. He's got food for life, and he's got 88% pension.
I don't really plan.
If he wants to eat, he could just go grab one of the chickens too.
Let's hope he's not a vegan like you.
Well, it doesn't say.
I don't really plan to touch any of this money, as I assume if I need more of my income, I just pause investing for the time. Yeah. I mean, the guy's saving like 50% of his income. He's just playing with chickens all day. I don't know what the hell this guy's doing.
He's got
what after COVID killed the chickens or something? He's like, yeah, I had all these chickens prior to COVID.
Yeah.
Why would you, unlike COVID, you're at home, would you keep the chickens?
Maybe,
or did he eat all the chickens because of COVID?
Because he lost his salary, he had no income.
So
there weren't enough eggs to make the food.
Oh, God. If I need more my income, I just pause investing for the time being. I feel like I'm far behind in all this investing. Not sure what I should be doing otherwise. Also, I have $600,000 in life insurance policies, so I'm worth more dead than alive, as my dad has always said, too. What am I missing? Look forward to Joe making fun of me. Oh, what are you talking about, John? Never make fun. All in good spirit. That's right. Thanks for the advice. John, you wrote in your email that you had 40 chickens. What do you want me to say?
He wanted you to make fun of him. That's why he wrote it.
Hey.
He didn't really say how many pigs he had or whether he's got cows or horses.
I think he's doing great. He's 36, yo. Right?
Yeah. It's amazing.
So he's good, man. He's going to have 88% of his income at age 57, so he can retire in 20 years. He has no debt, paid his house. He's saving crazy amounts of money. And yeah, I love it. I don't really see that big of a flaw in his overall strategy or plan.
I don't either. I think it's perfect. I think he's got extra money to buy more chickens if he wants.
Yeah, right.
Get those 40
Diversify.
back.
Yeah. All right. We got James. He writes in from Arizona. Hello, Joe, Alan, Andy. Thanks for the podcast and the valuable information you share with us listeners. I would like to get your thoughts on how to incorporate a pension in Social Security within fixed income portion of my portfolio. All right. Do you recommend this approach, or do you keep those separate from the allocation percentages? So James is asking now, is that, all right, well, I got a pension in Social Security. Can I just count that as like my bond allocation in my portfolio?
Yeah. So in other words, I don't need any bonds, right? Because I got plenty of fixed income.
Correct. It's right. So I guess another way to look at that is like, God, what was the name of the book that he was all into human capital, and he kind of looked at it that way. If you have, fixed income sources coming in from Social Security and pensions and so on, you have to look at that present value allocation into your overall asset allocation, right?
Yes, I do remember that. I forget the name of the book too. We interviewed him, the author, I remember.
Yeah. He's a good guy. As an example, we have $1.5 million in retirement in taxable accounts, and we want to take 4% each year, or $60,000. My pension is $20,000 per year. Our Social Security will be $40,000 per year. That provides $120,000 in total income, with half coming from pension and Social Security. If we want to have a 50-50 equity and fixed income allocation, and the 50% fixed income is covered with pension and Social Security, can we invest 100% of what is in the retirement taxable accounts into equities to cover the 50% of the portfolio? If you do not agree with this approach, I would appreciate you hearing your thoughts on how you incorporate pensions and Social Securities into the equity and fixed income portfolio mix. Much appreciated. And James, that's a very good question. And Al, I guess I'll let you kind of take a crack at that.
So it's my turn. Okay, good. See what you think. I like to separate it, Joe. So in other words, I like to say, what is your need? What is your shortfall? You take your spending need of 120 and your fixed income is 60, so you still need 60. So I like to look at that compared to your overall portfolio. And of course, that's 4%. But then a couple of things that I would say. One is, we kind of want to make sure you have enough safety in your portfolio to ride out a long-term market downturn. So if you need $60,000 a year, you can multiply that by 5 years. You can multiply by 10 years. Let's say 10 years to be ultra safe, right? So that's $600,000. So if you agree with that, then you would want $600,000 in fixed income divided by 1.5 million, which comes out to be 40%. 40% bonds, 60% stocks. Now, that's one way to look at it. A second way to look at it is, what rate of return do you need to be able to generate a 4% cash flow distribution? And interestingly enough, the 4% rule came from somebody investing in a 60-40 portfolio, 60% stocks, 40% bonds for a 25-year period. That doesn't guarantee that's going to work, but over the likelihood, it's probably 90% plus chance that you'll have enough money over your retirement, which was when the study was done years ago, was over 25 years. So anyway, in both analysis, 60-40 to get a 4% distribution, 60-40 to have $600,000 in fixed income, I think that's the number.
I agree with both those statements, because how I would look, you have to look at it. What is the demand for the portfolio? What is the portfolio meant to do? And the portfolio in this particular scenario for James is that it needs to create $40,000 of income, right? Is that or 60? No, $60,000 of income from the portfolio. He'll be pulling 4% of the portfolio. So he's like, well, can I keep that 100% equity? Because my true income need is 120,000. So 60,000 is going to come from the portfolio. 60,000 is going to come from pensions and Social Security. So half of my income is already met by, other fixed income sources other than my portfolio. So can't I just keep that 100% stocks, because half of my income is already covered, and that's my fixed income? I like his thinking. But I think it's flawed just a little bit because he has to look at what the demand is for the portfolio. Because if he's got 100% stocks and he's pulling 4% out, do we know how old James is? No idea.
We don't.
I don't know. Maybe if he was 75, I'd be fine with it. Right?
Yeah, I think that, to me, Joe, the lower the demand on the portfolio, now you've got a little more flexibility. You can take more risk if that's what you want to do to save for charity or your kids, or you can take less risk because you don't need to take as much risk. But I think, the 4% rule was originally designed as a 60% stocks, 40% bonds, and that's kind of what he's wanting to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. He needs a little bit more safety because if he had 100% equities within that portfolio and he's pulling 4% out and the market drops, let's say 20%, right? And so now he doesn't have that 4% just went up to 7 or 8%, and he could go into asset depletion mode. If he's fine at the end of the day, just living off of $60,000 from his fixed income sources, by all means, just keep it in equities. Because he could eventually live off of $200,000 a year if he has a really good bull run. But if he hits a bear market at the wrong time, it could blow up his entire plan. So we're fairly conservative. So we look at constructing the portfolio of what it needs. And if you're taking that big of a distribution, I like Al's idea.
All right, so how do you know for sure whether you're on the right track for retirement if all you do is get a few-minute off-the-cuff spitball analysis from Joe and Big Al on YMYW? Imagine what you could learn from a comprehensive one-on-one personalized financial assessment with a certified financial planner professional on Joe and Big Al's team at Pure Financial Advisors. It's free, just like this podcast. It doesn't obligate you to anything, and it's a deep dive into your overall financial picture to identify strategies that can save you from paying unnecessary taxes, ensure your portfolio is matched to your risk tolerance, and to help you achieve your retirement goals. Anybody, anywhere in the country can visit yourmoneyyourwealth.com and click Get an Assessment to schedule a free financial assessment at a date and time that's convenient for you.
Let's see. We got, hi, Joe, Big Al, and Andy. I found you guys a month ago while searching YouTube for You Know What. You know what he's talking about there, Big Al?
I would guess that mega backdoor.
You know what? You put it, you know where.
That's the one.
Since then, I've listened to a couple of episodes a day on Spotify while driving my 2009 Sienna to our neighborhood park in the Twin Cities and walking my black lab Kirby around the ball fields. I love your show and would appreciate your thoughts about the financial plan I developed for my wife and myself. I'm nearly 62 and plan to retire in a few years. My hot wife is 54 and drives a 2017 Honda CRV and plans to retire at 60. We're in good health. Hope to live to our 90s. We have 2 grown independent sons and would like to leave a legacy if possible. I think we'll be okay financially, but I'm concerned our pre-tax retirement dollars are growing faster than we can convert them. Retirement pre-tax 1.5, Roth IRAs $1 million, brokerage accounts $200,000, savings HSAs $100,000, house $400,000. Our cash portion has dropped a bit the last few years due to college tuition, family vacations, and funding back to our Roths while maximizing our company retirement plans. I recently reduced our company contributions to the 6% match level in order to rebuild our cash to give us a little bit more flexibility in retirement and pay those taxes for future conversions. Our annual income, including interest and dividends, is $235,000. After applying the standard deduction, our taxable income is $210,000, putting us in the 24% tax bracket. We've done Roth conversions of $120,000 each over the last 3 years to max out this bracket. We plan to continue the $120,000 conversions in 2022 and 23, and then bump them up to $200,000 in 2025 and 26 when my employment income stops, assuming the current tax brackets are still intact. I'm planning to take my company pension at age 65 as a lump sum of $350 and rolling it into an IRA instead of taking $1,600 a month, 100% joint and survivor annuity option. Assuming a 6% return on investments, 80% stock funds, or retirement assets at the end of 2026 would be $3.5 million. 1.4 million pre-tax, including the pension lump sum, and 2.5 or 2.1 in Roth. We estimate needing $120,000 for our annual expenses in retirement, 3.5% inflation on that, which will put us in the 25% tax bracket. In the previous brackets are reinstituted in 2027. We plan to delay Social Security till age 70 and should be about $4,000 a month for me and $2,500 from the wife. She will also get a nurse pension of about $200,000 a month that kicks in at age 65. So we got $2, $6, $7, $8, $8,500 a month of fixed income, Al.
Okay.
In retirement, we will draw down from the pre-tax to supplement any shortfall from Social Security pension income and continue Roth conversions within our tax bracket. Does this sound like a reasonable plan, or am I missing something? Should we be more aggressive with our conversions? Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You guys rock. Dustin from the Minneapolis. Interesting.
Joe, I just want to say in 5.5 minutes, you managed to read that question with hardly any problems at all. Fantastic job.
Thank you. I'm really practicing my reading at night.
This should be on the best of someday.
Totally.
Best question ever, Joe.
I've been practicing. I go home and I just read stupid questions over and over and over again. So I'm prepared, right?
We also have a picture of Kirby, the black lab. So that's cool.
Beautiful dog. All right. I don't know. What do you think, Al?
I don't have any problems. What are you thinking? I think that the Roth conversion, he's at 210,000 right now. At the top of the 24 is 330. So he's saying you'd do another 120. There were so many numbers here. I lost track of what's what, but that would be at the top of the top of the 24% bracket. I like that. I like that a lot. And plus there's not a lot of money outside of retirement accounts to pay for the tax. So that seems like a good amount to me.
I mean, he's converting $120,000. I mean, that's where all the cash went. He's taking his, Kirby out to lavish vacations.
Well, kids' college and vacation, stuff like that. But yeah, no, I don't.
Okay, well, let me do the math here real quick.
Yeah.
He is, let's see. Well, he's 62 years old. 10 years. Let's say the retirement plan grows to $3 million.
Well, that I don't understand because it's already 2.5.
No, 1.5 and then 1 million Roth. So he's already got $1 million in Roth. 2.5 is total. I
know, but he's saying that his pre-tax is going to be 1.4 in 10 years. It's already 1.5. So something's wrong there.
He said 3.5 million, 1.4 pre-tax because he's doing the conversions out.
Oh, he's factoring that in, maybe, huh?
He's factoring the $120,000 conversions
for X number of years. Okay.
Right. Let's say if he doesn't do any more conversions at $3 million, 4 times 3 is $120,000. 120 plus Social Security. Let's see. He's going to be at 200,000. Call it total income with the wife's pension, Social Security, and everything else. I'm guessing. I don't have my calculator today for some reason. Minus the deduction, 25. So let's call it $175,000 of income. At that level, he's in the 22% tax bracket.
Actually, he's just made it into the 24, barely. 173 is the break.
Most of it is in the 22% tax bracket, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So he's converting in the 24% tax bracket. And if he didn't do anything at all, most of his income is going to be taxed at the 22% tax bracket. Correct. It's going to convert to the 25 potentially is what he's thinking. Yep. So let's convert it to the 24 to get to the 25. I don't know. If I was him, would I want to continue to do the conversions to the 24 when I already have $1 million in a Roth? He doesn't have $5 million in a pre-tax account. It's 1.5. He's got $1 million in a Roth. He's going to have good fixed income. I think I would rather have the liquidity, right? So he's going to stop saving to build up his cash because his cash is getting blown from the conversions. So right. I would want to rerun the numbers a little bit. I don't mind his plan, but I don't think it's as efficient as he probably could get it.
Yeah, what I guess what's hard to say is there's a lot of information here. We kind of need to put this into a software program to kind of look at all the variables. But me personally, I like the idea because having more in Roth gives you more flexibility. He would still have, according to his calculations, 1.4 million in pre-tax. And so theoretically, 1.4 million, what's that going to produce? That let's call it 60 grand.
Yeah, 60 grand.
60 grand plus Social Security, plus whatever else, I guess, minus we'll call it standard deduction. He could be right at the bottom of the 22% bracket. So then maybe his Social Security, that would still be probably fully taxable. I haven't factored that in yet. So anyway, I don't know. I think I think the concept's fine. I think I know where you're going though, Joe. And that is when you get to a certain point, when you got enough Roth IRA, do you want to keep being so aggressive? Because basically if you keep converting in the 24% bracket and you end up in the 12% bracket, then you kind of overpaid for the conversion.
Right. There's going to be a point where he wants to stop converting.
Sure.
Because he's converting so much, these are big clips. $120,000 a year to get to the top of the 24. The 24% tax bracket's giant.
It is. Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, now I converted so much money out, and then, wow, I don't really have a lot of my retirement assets left to take advantage of the 12% tax bracket and the 22% tax bracket, or the 15% and the 25, depending on where tax rates go. So that's where that's the planning where right. You're right on, Al. You kind of read my mind there. That's where I would want to get that thing dialed in a little bit more, because you don't want to over convert and then end up, being in a lot lower tax bracket potentially.
Yeah. But of course, the unknown is we don't know what tax brackets are going to be in the future. And maybe they'll be higher given that we've got so much national debt. So this helps mitigate that possibility.
You're right. Just keep converting. I just wanted to have a little bit more conversation on it, I guess. Just want some dialogue.
That was kind of fun because usually we're on the opposite sides of that one.
Well, I like it. Yeah, I know. I had to take the other side, Al. Just had to do it. Thanks, Dustin from Minneapolis. Appreciate your email. Diego writes in from Maryland. Cheers to the gang. Long time, first time. I'm a classic do-it-yourselfer trying to get free information from generous and magnanimous. The hell is that?
Means generous. It's another word for generous. Magnanimous.
Folks like you. I have put together our personal net worth statement and use that to project our growth and to get a general time frame for retirement, when retirement is feasible. In addition to being a do-it-yourselfer, I'm also one of those wackos trying to retire early between 45 and 55.
Nothing wrong with that. Remember my plan, Joe. I was going to retire at 47.
How'd that work out, Big Al?
How old are you all now?
64. Just turned 64. Well, in Hawaii, I might add, which is where I'm at right now as we record this show.
Well, my wife and I are in our mid-30s. You got $65,000 in cash, not earmarked for retirement. $650,000 in equities, earmarked for retirement. No fixed income. The equities are split evenly between a taxable brokerage account in a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k. Okay. Low cost, globally diversified index funds, yada, yada, yada. My two questions, if you're generous enough to answer them, are: if I take the nominal growth rate for the equity, say 7%, and subtract a ballpark inflation rate, say 2%, can I use a 5% growth rate for equities to keep figures in today's dollars? Alan?
I would say, no, that's not the best way to do it. Use the 7%, but if you think inflation is going to be 2%, then inflate your expenses 2% per year till you retire to get a sense of how this actually works out. I don't think this math works the same.
I don't think so either. So what he's saying is that take your $650,000 of assets, grow them at 7% for the next, what is he? He's 30 years old, wants to retire in, let's call it 25 years or 15 years. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Mid 30s. Yeah. Call it 15, 20 years.
Yeah. So just run that out 15, 20 years, and whatever that you're adding or, contributing to those plans, put that into your overall equation, and then use your expenses. And so I would break down my expenses if you really want to get to the nitty gritty on this. Your mortgage is going to be flat, right? Because it's a fixed payment. But you're going to have other expenses that are going to grow higher than 2%. You're going to have other expenses that might grow at 2%. So you could use kind of a blended rate there. So that's how I would look at it, and then look to see what your shortfalls are or surpluses, and then kind of go from there. That's how I'd look at your planning. If you want to do a quick back of the envelope, maybe you can do something like that. The market has been pretty strong and has been pretty much been up pretty much the whole time I've been investing. So it feels like using $650,000 in equities earmarked for retirement is an artificially high starting point. Do you have any rules of thumb I could use, such as keep the 7% growth rate, but instead of starting my projections at the current value of the equities, start them at 80% of the value, essentially assuming we're always on the verge of a 20% market decline, but assume that long-term growth rates will still average out to 7%, or is the current value always the best starting point? Thanks for the discussion. Hope you found at least 1 or 2 points when reading this to make a joke, because Lord knows your listeners tune in more than just financial advice. All right. I guess we joke a lot. We just make fun of people all day.
We talk
I think you do, Joe.
I do not make fun of anyone. I'm just reading the questions and I'm just giving my opinion.
Right.
I don't know if that's making fun. We can't say that in today's environment.
I would just start. I'd start with the real starting point, 650. I mean, there's going to be a correction, sure, but who knows when? And 7% is a fairly conservative number if you're 100% equities. I mean, the S&P itself has over 100 years has gone up almost 10%. If you just look at a single asset class, and then if you look at small company value companies, that he's got some blend here, those have gone up more over the last 100 years. No guarantee on the future whatsoever. And stocks are volatile. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would just start with the 650 and throw in 7% and see what, and then I would probably use the 3% inflation rate for my expenses and see how they came out, and just compare those two by the time you get to age 45 or 50 or 55, whatever.
Yeah. In our firm, we use 3.5. So we use 6% and 3.5% inflation. So,
yeah,
so a nominal true rate of return is a couple percent. So we feel that's fairly conservative.
Correct.
So you could do it, if you want kind of back of the envelope, a little spitballing. Use 5, because the way we just explained it is that's a lot more work.
It's a little more complicated.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, but I like where he's at, because he's like, you know what, man, I got 650 grand. I'm in my mid 30s. I'm a wacko. I'm a little fire freak, and I want to get out of, but I want to be conservative. Should I bust this thing down 20%? I mean, what he's looking at is, I think, on the right track. He's being conservative with his numbers. Instead of saying, hey, I got 650, I was making 15% over the last 6 years, I'm going to continue to use that because I know what stocks to pick, or the funds are going to continue to perform this way. He's looking at it as like, wow, I got lucky. I got a really good run over the last several years. Every year that I've invested, I haven't lost money because the markets have accumulated to a degree that I don't know is feasible anymore. So should I just take a look and give myself a 20% haircut right now? So no, I would.
You don't have to. It's conservative, and we like being conservative. Use 5% if you want. Do an inflation rate on the expenses. Start lower. If it works out, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like the questions coming in today.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
How would inflation impact stocks and bonds, the value of the dollar, and your portfolio? And what should you be doing about it in 2021? Check out the blog post and companion video on inflation by our Director of Research, Brian Perry, CFP, CFA, in the podcast show notes at yourmoneyyourwealth.com. You can also download our free guide on pursuing a better investment experience, read the transcript of this and nearly all of our previous podcast episodes. Thank you, Mom. Send in your money questions to be answered by Joe and Big Al on YMYW, and share all of these free financial resources from the podcast show notes as well. Just click the link in the description of today's episode in your favorite podcast app to get started.
We got one here. Greetings from Hawk in Scottsdale, Arizona. Hawk.
That's got to be a nickname from military days, I bet you.
Hawk. All right. Dear Roth, Big Roth, and the last Roth. Roth.
Yeah.
Annuity Spitball ladder. We're a longtime listeners, big fans, and I'm a binge listener and embarrassed to say we've listened to your podcast over dinner several times.
I'm so sorry, Hawk.
The hell is wrong with these people?
I think that's wonderful.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
They got the little, the podcast going while they, please pass me the ketchup for
the
my
Grey
fries.
Poupon. Oh, honey. This pot roast is absolutely delicious. Oh, wait, Big L.
Did you hear what Joe just said?
Oh, my God. Big L is so smart. Don't you think so, honey?
I feel honored to be part of their dinner conversation. What do you think, honey? Do we have enough Roth? What did they say?
Oh, can you pass me some salt, please?
I'm thirsty now after listening to this.
Oh, it's creepy. Ugh. All right, here it goes. I'm sweating now. I just see myself at Hawk's dinner table. Oh, married, 3 grown kids, 4 grandchildren. We are both 52 years old, and plan to be fully retired and funded 2026, just a few years away. We both have worked 60, 80 hours a week for years and years, and we are done. English bulldog named Ralph. Oh, Hawk. I'm going to get an English bulldog. I had one growing up. It was named Muggsy.
You like to name him Ralph just in honor of Hawk?
I think so. I drive a big white 2010 Ford F-250. Goes anywhere, does anything, runs on Jack Daniels. Well,
I think that means the driver runs on.
That's good, Al. My wife drives a boring, no fun 2012 Volvo SUV and won't get a new vehicle. She said there's nothing wrong with her car. Says it's decisions like this that will let us retire earlier. Then she points out that Big Al would agree with her.
I do agree. I think that's right on.
Yeah, I'd get rid of that POS and get a new car.
I would stick with that Volvo. It's a perfect car.
No way. Get something sexy. Combined income a year is $450,000. Home is worth $850 with a mortgage balance of $230. Okay, 3%, 5 years left. Retirement financial focus is $6.3 million. So about $4 million in traditional 401ks, $500,000 in Roth, $400,000 in cash, 1.6 net after tax from private equity stocks sold upon leaving company. That will be used to fund brokerage account with low fee tax advantage funds. That puts our portfolio around 60% qualified, 40% tax free or advantage. We look to spend $180,000 a year, which is a 2.8% distribution rate. Debt free, other than the mortgage, no car loans. My wife makes sure of that. Oh, $50,000 a year combined Social Security at age 62 or 72 at full retirement age. We have been very blessed.
Yes, you are bragging, Hawk.
I know. Hawk's like, yeah, my wife got to get a better car because I can afford anything. My beautiful,
Volvo.
Yeah, My beautiful wife is the brains of our outfit and set us up very nicely. We are both consultants, but she is really good at it. It has not been without cost, though. We each travel extensively for work, don't get to see each other very much. Instead, we have worked hard to save, and get off this treadmill. Recently, there's been much talk regarding drastic estate tax exemption reduction, step up in basis elimination, etc. I realize you guys don't have the crystal ball. Joe, don't make Andy have you edit this.
Because he said he realizes you guys don't have crystal balls.
Ooh. Well, Big Al, I don't know. But you probably see where I'm heading. The tax time bomb. Isn't this the biggest issue here? We will work on that by putting the you-know-what into you-know-where. Yeah. You know what that is, Al, right?
Yeah, that's getting more money in the Roth out of the qualified. You can just say it.
You got your crystal balls going? You can read through the lines here.
Yep.
What I'd like to get is a little spitball idea on asset protection. Okay, our CPA mentioned SLATs, Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. What are your thoughts, pros and cons? Other ideas for us to consider? Irrevocable sounds scary, but some of the proposed tax changes sound scarier. Thank you all for what you do. Hawk and Lady Hawk. P.S. No limerick yet. I haven't quite worked it out. I'm thinking something about tax increases in Nantucket. I like it. Huh. I know where he's going with that. Very good. Okay, Hawk. Is this Hawk, right?
Yep.
And Lady Hawk?
Right.
This is the first time I've ever heard Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. What is that?
That's just a grantor trust. They just put stupid names on this stuff. I'm assuming I've never heard of it either, but I'm guessing it's an irrevocable trust that you can put money, let's say one spouse, whatever what's the exemption per person right now, Al? About 11 and a half million?
Yeah, call it 11.5 million, and it could go down to 3.5 million or 5 million per person. Under Biden, we'll have to see.
So what? I guess, let's see, a spousal lifetime access. So one spouse puts the $11 million in there. The other spouse is probably the beneficiary. The beneficiary can live off the income to maintain the spouse's level of income, right? So, or maintain a certain standard of income. So this would avoid any type of estate tax. So let's say the estate tax, because his total net worth is $7 million?
Right.
I wouldn't be too concerned, Hawk. I mean, you're a big baller, but you're not that big where you got to be looking at SLATs.
Right.
I mean, you're giving up control because what this will do is avoid estate taxes. So I don't know, how much money would you put in there? You could pass right now 25 million. What's Biden saying with the estate tax? He wants to repeal some of it, bring it down to 3.5. So that's $7 million a couple.
Yeah, 3.5 to 5 million per person, right? Which would be doubled up. Yeah, I think that it's been a while since I looked up SLATs. I think you're right, Joe. I think it's an irrevocable trust. You get the money in. I think you do reduce your exemption, but you reduce it at the current value, right? But
it's an estate freeze.
It's an estate freeze, right? But you're not. I mean, at the moment, let's see. Did I read this right? They're about 6.3 million. So if it goes down to 5 million, it's still 10. I think it's way too early. We don't even know what's going to happen yet. I wouldn't be
he's in his
concerned
50s.
about that yet.
He's in his 50s.
Right.
Right.
Now if he had 50 million,
yeah,
right, I would say, okay, that's a pretty good idea because now you can lock in on the 11.5, right?
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to spend some of this, right? You already said you're going to take a 3% or 2.5% like a 3% burn rate. So all of a sudden you put X amount of dollars, half your net worth or liquid net worth into a SLAT. The spouse has access to it. She's the beneficiary, but it's still irrevocable. How about if you get a divorce? How about if you die? I mean, there's other things I think that could blow this thing up potentially.
I think the beneficiary is someone else, like your kids, but the spouse has income rights as long as they're living. I think that's how it works. But you get it out of your estate. It's been a while since I looked at that. I think that's what that does. But yeah, I would say, Hawk, it's way too early. You're not in a you don't have enough assets to worry about this yet. And there's lots of other things you can do that are simpler. Should we get to a point where the exemption's a lot lower, right? So I wouldn't worry about it yet.
Yeah. What are some of your ideas that you would recommend to someone else that are simpler? I mean, a SLAT is pretty simple. You're just taking the assets into a grant or trust.
Well, let's see. I think Hawk said he's got kids and grandkids. So the very simplest one is you just give 15,000 away each year to each beneficiary.
Yeah,
That's a simple one. Another one would be you could do an estate tax freeze just on a particular asset that you had that you thought was going to go up in value and reduce your exemption at that point. Like, let's say if the exemption goes way down, maybe you do some of that. I don't know. You can do family.
What about what was Kenny's favorite?
He liked the Cupert. Qualified
personal residence trust.
Yeah, that's another one. And you got family limited partnerships that you can do. Some people just say, forget it, I'll just buy a life insurance policy if there's any tax. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do that. I just think it's too early right now.
Yep, I agree. Totally agree. Very good. Great question. Thanks, Hawk. Appreciate it. Hey, Alan, I'm getting more questions on the Secure Act.
The Secure Act, really? So that's what, like a year and a half old?
But the Secure Act 2.0.
Got it.
Securing a Strong Retirement Act of 2021.
Got it.
You like? It's a little catchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You heard of this bill?
Yes, I have.
Do you think it's going to pass?
Who knows, right? It's anybody's guess at this point. Maybe parts of it will.
The Secure Act was kind of
it wasn't that secure.
It wasn't.
It was. I remember. What was it? What was that guy's name? Jamie something.
Hopkins.
Hopkins. Thank you.
Hopkins.
Yeah. So he talked to us about it, and he had written an article of maybe the 10 or 12 important things that came out of it. And even he on the air said, yeah, it's not much.
There's nothing here. A lot of fluff. I got a few.
Okay.
Just to keep our listeners informed.
Okay, good.
Increasing RMD age to age 75.
Yeah.
Oh,
now
wow.
that one I think could happen.
But it's not going to do anything. It doesn't matter. Most people spend all of their money at 60.
It helps the people that have more money than they know what
exactly.
To do.
The people that have a ton of cash in their retirement accounts, it's going to help them.
Right.
So there you go. Auto enrollment in retirement accounts, I think that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. That actually has been proven to help, because it's harder to say I don't want to do this than it is to just let it happen.
Let's see. Indexes on IRA catch-ups.
Yeah, I think they're already doing that.
Right? I know. So I guess it's automatic.
Yeah.
Because it's been $1,000 over the last couple of years, and then they increase it like every 5 years.
Yeah, they usually go up in increments of $500. So maybe next year it's going to be $38.50.
I think the higher catch-up limits for ages 62, 63, and 64. They're moving that from 5,000 to 10,000.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I've also heard with the higher catch-up limits that it's going to be Rothification. That you can't do it pre-tax. It's going to be after-tax Roth contribution. So
got it.
We'll see there. I think that's even better.
Yeah.
Student loan payments for employer matching.
Interesting. Okay.
So some of our listeners are probably going through this where they're paying off student loans and they can't necessarily fund their overall retirement.
Right.
And so they're kind of stuck. It's like, well, if I could just put a couple of, and they're missing out on matching.
Sure. Yeah.
So
right.
they're missing out on free money that's going for their retirement. And the compound effect of that is hundreds of thousands of dollars long term.
Right.
So that'll be interesting to see how they monitor that. Here I'm paying my student loan payment, so now the employer's kind of matching their student loan payment as into their 401k or employer plan. The
employers may not like that one.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, I think it's a good perk if we're matching our employees.
Yeah, but that's for their 401k, not for their.
No, they're matching in the 401k if they prove that they're paying into their student loan.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is if they're not putting in the 401k right now and they're just paying the student loan, then the employer's not doing anything. So it's going to be more expensive for employers. That's what I'm saying.
Not necessarily. we have employees that are not putting money into the 401k plan, right? If
Correct.
they didn't have a student loan, they would be. Is my point.
Sure.
So it would be the same.
True. All I'm saying is right now they're paying a student loan, so they're not putting money into a 401k. So therefore, the company's not matching. So if we go to this,
College should just be free.
oh boy,
Pay off all the debt.
you're gonna get some calls on that one.
No, I do not believe in that. Sorry. All right. So a few other things. Boosting small employer, those MEP plans, they get a little bit of a credit. Putting ETFs in 403B plans.
Huh, okay.
And then opening the door for ETFs and variable annuities. I have no idea. Someone on the ETF board of trustees
got in close with the annuity people.
Yes. So stay tuned. Well, this bill is actually, I don't know. I give it a D plus. The Secure Act 1.0 was a D.
Yeah.
So there's probably.
So you're giving this a little bit better rating.
A little bit. I mean, it's not securing anyone's retirement. Secure Act is what?
Setting every community up for retirement.
Up or something stupid, right? Setting every community person up for a secure.
Well, they come up with the name, and then they have to spend all this time reverse engineering to figure out what the acronym should be.
Right.
Derails about those 40 chickens, Kirby, and Big Al's winter jacket at the end of the episode, so stick around. Learn more about the Secure Act 2.0, access all the free financial resources, read the episode transcript, ask your money questions, and schedule a free financial assessment. It's all in the podcast show notes at yourmoneyyourwealth.com. Just click the link in the description of today's episode in your podcast app. Your Money, Your Wealth is presented by Pure Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this broadcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the broadcast in the process of making a full and informed investment decision.
We got to find out what the hell happened to the chickens.
Yeah. I mean, we can speculate that they were dinner for the past year, but I don't know. We had a neighbor that had chickens in our neighborhood, which is suburban San Diego. I don't think they were supposed to, but they've got one of those yards that goes up a hill, and they had a chicken coop at the top, and right on the other side of their fence was a Mormon church. And I always thought, interesting. I don't think our homeowners association allowed it, but no one ever seemed to complain. But when I went to her backyard, she'd say, "You need some eggs." So we'd go up and see what was there.
Did you get some eggs?
Yeah.
All right.
Fresh.
Yeah, of course. Guys from Minneapolis names his dog Kirby.
Is that the most common name there?
Why do you think he named Kirby?
Oh, I don't know.
Kirby Puckett? Never heard of that.
Okay, I got you. Yep.
Who's Kirby Puckett?
Oh my gosh. What are you an American? Kirby Puckett was probably one of the best baseball players of all time. Center fielder. My cousin's name was Kirby.
Kirby. Yeah.
I got Kirby Puckett's autograph one time.
You did.
At a little mall.
Yeah, I'm trying to, Rod Carew, he hit for average. Kirby, I don't remember. Was he average guy or home run guy?
It was awesome. That's all. He was just full of awesome.
That's all you know.
He was short and stocky.
He was stocky. I do remember that.
Yeah. He had some weird eye thing. Yeah, he died way too young. So, yeah, Kirby Puckett. Yeah, he was my favorite baseball player. I guarantee that's why he named it. But I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm speculating here.
Yeah.
All right. I did grow up in Minneapolis.
I do know. I'm imagining you can sort of picture this, walking a dog to a ball field.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
I've been there once, as you know, and it was in January, so I didn't really get the full feeling of walking.
You're not walking Kirby to the ballparks.
Not in that time. I did get a Sub-Zero jacket just for that trip, which I've never worn again. It's rated down to 5, I think. It's like so fat and thick, it takes up an entire closet. So guest bedroom is my coat.